Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, we're gonna be lowering the front end of this Dodge Dakota RT. So in a previous video, we lowered the back end. So we put the Belltech hanger kit. If you guys haven't seen that video, definitely check out the link in the description. We'll show you that lowering video. So the back end is lowered. That's what the hangers got us on the Dakota suspension. So definitely lower. It's not slammed by any means, but I think if we start going any lower, you could put lowering blocks on it to raise the axle up more, but I think you'd get into having to like C-notch the frame because the axle would be getting very close to the frame. I'll double check my clearances, but for now, we're just trying to get the front down a little bit now too. So what we're going to do is, there's a lot of controversy on this, but a lot of the Dakota RT forums, Dakota RT springs are 1 inch shorter than any springs from like a regular Dakota or Durango type thing. So, and not only that, but they are a linear spring rate, meaning that the spring rate is the same throughout the whole coil. So a lot of guys argue in the forums, and this isn't my advice, but this is on the forums. They're saying there's no point in buying lowering springs. It's kind of a waste of money. If you just shorten the length of it, it's the same linear spring rate. So if you shorten the length of the spring, you'll still have the same ride quality and you can effectively lower the truck that way. So anyways, we're gonna try it, see how it works, see how it looks, and if it rides like junk afterwards, then we'll go ahead and get a different set of springs, but we can play with the ride height for now and then go from there. So anyways, let's get the truck over here and we'll get the front wheels off and we'll get to work. Okay, so truck is obviously up in the air. We got the wheels off. Jonathan over here is wrenching. Spinning the wrenches. So what we're gonna do is separate the upper ball joint. You could take it off with these 3 bolts, but we're just going to take the castle nut off the bottom. We already took the cotter pin out, and then we're going to separate it there. And then I believe we also have to take off the sway bar end link. So we'll deattach that so that the whole suspension can drop down while we support it. So we're gonna loosen those 2 things, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, so Jonathan's got this side here. He just finished loosening the shock from the top. So we're gonna remove the shock. We'll show you kind of every single step on the other side. So there goes the shock out the bottom. Yeah. But we'll show you on the other side kind of every single step. We're just kind of figuring out what we need to remove on this side first. So there was 2 bolts on the bottom. There were 10 mil bolts holding the bottom in. Remove those 2, and then there was a 15 mil nut on the top of the shock that he just removed. And we took that out. The shock drops out. This ball joint is removed. We're gonna put the caliper back up there. We just have to move the caliper out of the way to get here. And then we can pretty much just let the suspension drop on this side and get that coil out of there. So that's what we're gonna do next. Okay, so we got the floor jack underneath. We've got the nut from the ball joint off. So when we slowly lower the jack, this whole thing should start coming apart. Jeez. She's out.
That's it. And now we can get to our bump stop.
Yep. So with our spring out of the way, we're actually going to grind the bump stop off from the top since we're not going to be reusing it. Belltech was saying, we looked at Belltech instructions as well, they were saying to kind of drill it out from the bottom and all that stuff, but we're just going to get an angle grinder in here, slice the bottom of it out, and we'll remove that bump stop because we got some new ones going in that are shorter.
Right now we're gonna see, we cut half a coil, so we're gonna see how low it actually goes.
All right guys, so it's on the ground. It looks kind of funny right now. We disconnected the sway bar and we put it down on the ground, no shock in it, and we cut off half of a coil. So this is the result of half of a coil. It is lower, but it's not enough. So I don't mind if there's a little bit of rake on the truck, so the front is a little bit lower than the rear, but right now it still needs to go a little bit lower. So like I said, we took out half. I think we're safe to take out the other half so it has a little bit of rake this way, and I think we'll be good. So we're gonna put it back up and cut a little bit more off and we'll see what it looks like. So these are the energy suspension bump stops we're gonna use, but we're probably gonna have to trim off a majority of this cone because if you guys look at the travel that's in there, it's not gonna have a whole lot of travel. We'll also be getting some different shocks, but again, for now, we're just doing the springs today. We'll get all the shorter shocks and all that stuff here shortly. So we're gonna go ahead and put this all back together. We gotta reattach our ball joint. We just gotta tighten up this castle nut, put our cotter pin in, tighten up our bolt for our sway bar, put our caliper and rotor back on, put this wheel back on, and also the shock back in, and we can move on to the other side. Okay, Jonathan's finishing up on this side, so we'll move over to the other side and we'll step by step you guys right through exactly what we're doing. So, like you guys know before, sway bar has to come off, caliper has to come off. You loosen the castle nut here on the upper ball joint, whack this with the hammer. Also have to take out your shock. It's held in by two 10 mil bolts on the bottom, 15 mil nut on the top, and then we'll have to grind off our old bump stop to make room for the new one. And that's about it. Let's get to it.
I'm gonna go get it. There it is. Woo, this one. Huh? What?
Ay carambe! It took all the paint off the blade.
Oh.
That's fine. Okay. All right, so wheels are back on, and it's the moment of truth. You guys want to see what this looks like? What do you think it's gonna look like?
It's gonna look great.
I don't know. Let's see how far down she goes. You can see both of our reactions when we put it down.
Oh, it's going down.
When's it gonna stop? Still going. There it is.
No way.
That's what it's supposed to look
Wow.
like. All right, so I think we're okay. We were a little bit nervous, but I think that's right where we wanted it.
I don't even think we need an alignment. I don't know.
It's
Dude,
still
that looks really good.
It still looks like it's like flat.
What?
But honestly, I don't even want to say it, but I think you could go more.
Cut more?
I don't.
No.
Well, I think it has some settling to do, but that's like pretty much where it needs to be.
Yeah, the front looks a little bit lower than the rear, for sure.
Yeah, just got a tiny bit of rake.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just because the tire is a little too small in the front.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, the tire doesn't even look that bad anymore. Remember how small that tire looked?
Now that it's lowered now.
Like once she settles a little bit, I think she'll be looking pretty good. Okay guys, so we ended up taking the truck out for a little drive just to make sure the suspension would kind of settle in. So that's what the front looks like. That's what the back looks like. So we're pretty happy with the results, Jonathan and I over there.
Check out my shirt, my new shirt, and my new hat.
Damn. So that stuff there, you can find it in the merch below. So you'll see the Teespring, the exact same stuff.
This is a $12 shirt or $13 shirt, and it comes on the Hanes shirt. So it's not a bad quality shirt for 13 bucks.
Yeah, so it's pretty good too. He just got some gear too. So we got that stuff. Like I said, Teespring below. You guys can check out that. Boosted Motorsports hats or shirts. But the drop ended up going real well. That's pretty much it for now. So the only thing is we got to get those bump stops for the rear. So we'll get the bump stops for the rear because right now if you decide to hit a bump, it makes an amazing noise. And the front seems okay. And yeah, we'll kind of dial it in from there. So that's it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Also check the join button below so you guys can join Team Boosted Motorsports and sign up for a subscription. There's a lot of perks along with it. Thanks again, John, helping us out for today. You'll see him again on a lot more videos to come as well. That's it for today's video. We'll see you on the next one.